Welcome to Unleash Ur Cre8tivity. It is the show where we explore creativity in its many dimensions. But before I go into what the show is about, I am going to go down memory lane because AUK is not new to me, it is home. And I think today's show really is about sharing my thoughts, sharing how I got to this point, and letting you know what's going to be happening. How did I get here? 10 years ago, believe it or not, I was thinking and dreaming. Actually, I was forced to say, you need to get out there in the days where social media was just picking up and people were talking about social media. They said, you have to do something. And I thought, I don't want to face the camera. Hurrah, transition. I am facing the camera today. But back then, it was a no-go area. And I said, I'll do radio because at that time, those were the options that were available. Now, talking about options, I said radio because I thought, yeah, that's going to be hard to get. That will give me some time. But when you desire something or when you declare something, something happens. Now, I'm going to be talking to you and we're going to be learning together. So even through my storytelling, there's going to be a lot of nuggets. And my first nugget is, whatever you declare, be ready that it might happen. So I went to a networking event and lo and behold, people were introducing themselves around the room and I got introduced and somebody sitting somewhere on the table said, and I own a radio station. And my heart started pounding, going, really? And, sometimes when you say things, you do things. I thought, okay, let's go and have a conversation. And we had a conversation and the rest was history. She said, come over to the studio. Let's see, what do you have to offer? And let's start. So that was how my journey, my radio journey began. And I say that because I really want you to start thinking of where you are right now and how did you get to that journey to where you are right now, because it's very important, because I have been nicknamed the Queen of Reflection. So there's going to be a lot of reflection going on today. So on that journey, you now know how I got here. 10 years on, I am back. So I want to say welcome home to myself. My name is Omosola, and I'm going to be taking you on a journey, a creative journey of unleashing your creativity. Now, creativity is very broad and it's very wide. And a lot of people have put creativity in a box. Maybe you watching. There's another camp of people that say creativity doesn't even, that they are not creative. That's another food for thought because you never know. So on my show, you're going to be finding out, are you creative? Do you enjoy creativity? Has somebody said you're creative? Are you a secret creative because you really don't want to let people know that you are a creative? We're going to be exploring all of that on this show. I'm going to be bringing alongside me. So today you're going to be listening to me alone just because it's the beginning of my journey. And I really wanted to put a face to the journey. But going forward, you'll be hearing from me once in a while. But beyond that, I'm going to be having an array of amazing guests who have been in the creative world for different reasons. And my whole intention is to have a place where creatives hang out. As I said, I'm a storyteller and I'm going to be telling you lots more stories of how I became a creative, why I became a creative, and why I'm so passionate about creatives. It's a really, really long journey. I did say we'll be having guests. So we'll be having guests in the business world, in the passion world, in the hobby world, array of things. Now, a little bit more about me. As I said, today is me getting acquainted with you before I take you on my creative journey. We're going to be talking about reflection because creatives should be very creative people. One thing about me is that I do love quotes. So I will be, from time to time, popping in quotes. And one of the first quotes I'm going to use to introduce my creative journey is, creativity is intelligence having fun. and that was by Albert Einstein. And if you do remember him, he's somebody who we could categorize as somebody who has a creative mind. So how did my creative journey start? And why am I so passionate about creativity? And why am I on this journey of creativity? It's because I come from a background where the kind of creativity that I gravitated towards, which was the creative hands, was not naturally accepted. It was an add-on. And if any of you come from the part of the world that I come from, Africa, you can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor, you could be anything else, definitely not where I was treading. But I had that passion because at the age of 11, I knew what I wanted to do. When I walked into a showroom of my aunt, and there I found cakes and wedding dresses, and I was captivated. As far as I was concerned, I haven't been to heaven, but it felt like heaven. So my question to you, as I talk about my journey, is there something that you really wanted to do, something you really wanted to be, but you've been denied? Let me put it in that way. You've been denied because people have said, nope, you can't do that. You haven't even been able to express it because it's a no-go area. So I had to suppress my creative self for many, 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 many years. But when I did have the opportunity to revisit it again, I jumped on. Again, I'm asking, have you got that? It's never too late. It's never too late to start being your creative self. From then, as I said, very passionate about being a creative. And I decided, you know what? If that world for me doesn't exist, then I'm going to have to create my world. So I had to go and create my world. So my background is in cake decorating, balloon display, fashion design, soft furnishing, and I love all of them. People say, why don't you stick to one? But creatives know, once you're a creative, you know, it's like a bug. But the beauty of it is that there are so many transferable skills. So you could use one and transfer it to another. And that's exactly what I did. But I'm here today because I felt that I needed to create a community of creatives, a community where people can come out and enjoy themselves, share their thoughts, their creative thoughts. And as I said earlier, discover their creativity. And since then, I have been on a journey. What a journey it has been. So I'm going to use that as my introduction because many other things have happened along the way. But now I just want to quickly talk about the types of creativity. And again, I'm going to break it down to the three main kinds of creativity that you may experience on this show. The first one is creative hands, which I fall into that category. And we're going to talk about people who can fall into all as you journey. Now, if you do have creative hands, is kind of really explanatory. That means your hands, you love doing work with your hands. So you might be one of those that are into the hairdressing, into the cake decorating, the light gardening, and the list goes on. Now, this was a quote by Maya Angelou, which I do love. He said, you can't use up creativity. The more you use it, the more you have it. And from that, it's telling me that creativity is a journey. You need to explore it, you need to embrace it, and you need to enjoy it. So I'm hoping that even as I start bringing on my guests who have been in that world, who have been in the business world, some of you are thinking, I really, really would love to turn my creative craft into a business. You are at the right place because this is going to be a place where you'll be able to glean and get a lot of information from my guests and from me as well. Now, as I said, creative hands, the practical hands. And what I'm going to do as well is I love research, and that's one thing I do very well. You will soon find out that I love digging into finding out the meanings of words. And I went digging again and say, creative hands, what does it really mean? Because again, I don't want to assume. as I'm hoping and believing that I'm going to be taking a couple of people who don't think they're creative but will be discovering that they are. So the definition of creative hands that I found that I liked, it says the practical hands-on side of creativity involving crafting, building, designing, or performing. So do you fit into any of those? If you do, you are definitely in the right place. And again, I thought, let me find out some people who are in that world that we may know. And one thing again on this show is that there's going to be a lot of learning, because I might come up with things, because I love to learn. I'm a learner. And as I learn, I love to share as well. So if you know, you may not know, I'm going to share a couple of people that I discovered that have creative hands. So let's have a look. This lady was an eye-opener for me, and her name is Patricia. I think she's nicknamed Patty Soli, and she is a Ghanaian. And she's very well known for florist. She's a florist and a gardener, and she's known as the Ghanaian flower lady. So I'm expecting you to go and do some research and find out more about her. And another person who actually is a man. Christina Wilson. She does cake decorating with imaginative designs. So again, I'd like you to do a little bit more research about people who are in that industry and find out. I've discovered I've got creative hands. Who are the people in my industry? Who are the people that I can emulate? Who are the people that I can look at what they've done and glean off them? Because creativity is not a lonely journey. You need company, you need people. And again, this is why I have decided that this is a great place and a great platform to do it. Now I'm going to move on to creative hearts. That was an eye-opener for me, because I really didn't think that people could have a creative heart. So what is a creative heart? The creative heart is the emotional side of creativity, fueled by passion, empathy, and a desire to connect. So I think just by giving you that definition, I have brought into the equation a number of people who have been saying, I'm not creative. Welcome on board. And for me, the eye-opener was the people that during my research that were cited as people who had a creative heart. You may not guess, but I'm going to tell you one or two. The one that's the first one was Maya Angelou, and that's because she fits in between being somebody who has a creative mind because she's a poet, but at the same time an activist. So because she's an activist, she loves change. She has that empathy towards people. She wants to get things right. So she uses her creativity in terms of her being a poet to drive her message home. So it's, again, we're driving the fact home that it's not just about your hands. It is about other parts that you may connect with. Another person that stood out was Oprah Winfrey, because Oprah Winfrey is a storyteller, and she also draws in people. She uses the art of storytelling to bring in people in order for them to be able to tell their story in order to give out a message. But at the core of it, it is her heart. It's the heart that drives her to do the things that she does. So my question to you is, do you think you have empathy? Do you think that you desire to create change? How you do it matters. How you get your message out matters. So as a storyteller, as an activist, as a social worker, how do you connect with people? How do you engage with your creativity? One thing that you will find out as we go along on this show is that we do a lot of things subconsciously. We're not really thinking about it. But when we start to think about it, we will realize that, wow, I do fit into that box. And maybe that's why I am different, because creatives don't do things the way everybody does it. They're always finding a new way. Personally, they want to get excited about what they're doing. So it's never business as usual. It's always finding a new way of being creative. So that is creative hearts. And I'm going to now move on to the creative mind, which again overlaps with the creative heart, but you can see that it's driven mainly by their heart. Now let's look at creative minds and the definition. What boxes the creative mind is the intellectual creativity. They're constantly using their mind. They love to solve problems. They are very strategic and innovative. And that's where the business mind comes in. That's where the entrepreneur comes in. So I will be welcoming a number of entrepreneurs who have been very creative with their mind. Again, I talked about Albert Einstein earlier. He's a visionary. We're looking at Steve Jobs, that strategic, innovative mind. Would you have thought he was creative? Maybe not. You might quickly put him in the box of technology. So I want you to look at yourself again and have that thought and that think. Am I creative? Do I have a creative mind? Do I enjoy solving problems? Do I enjoy solving problems in different ways that other people don't necessarily do it? Again, all of this we are going to be exploring on my journey with you on Unleash Your Creativity with Omosola. I believe that's a handful for you to take in today. But as I said, I'm giving you a taster of the various things. So when the guests start coming in, you'll be able to start to associate yourself with either the hand, the heart, or the mind. Now, you can belong to all pockets. So don't put yourself in a box because it can be fluid. And on my journey, I went from building with my hand to now building with my mind and also building with my heart. So we can fluctuate between all of them. So don't put yourself in a box. There are a couple of tools that I'm going to be using as a way of getting my message across. And one of the key tools that I'm going to be using would be reflection and transition. Reflection and transition is very key because whatever we do, however we do it, if we don't reflect, it's going to be difficult for us to be able to take stock of what we're doing. And the definition for me, my definition of reflection is thinking about your past in order for it to inform your now, in order for it to inform your future. So as we journey, because as I said, some of you will be reflecting and realizing, wow, I am creative. Some of you are going to be going, no, I'm not. But whichever way it is, reflection is going to be a tool that we definitely are going to be working on throughout the series. Transition. Transition also is key. We move from one thing to another. And my question to you is, with the tool of reflection and with the tool of transition, how have you used them? Do you know they exist? Do you know they're relevant? As we journey over the next couple of weeks, months, and who knows how long for, you would be hearing me talk a lot with my guests about reflection, with my guests about transition. And as we do that, I am hoping and believing that you also would be taking stock and wondering, how did I get to where I got to? And I'm going to tell you a quick story about me and transition and how transition, an example of transition, just to drive it home. I started, as I said, with creative hands. I started with cake decorating. I taught in adult education balloon display for 15 years and totally loved it. But before then, I was just doing it for people. And one reason why I really loved creative hands, believe it or not, was because I didn't have to talk to people. And what I was doing did what I told it to do. It didn't talk back at me. But as we transition, so I'm using the word transition now. As we transition, I transitioned into teaching. Same thing, creative hands, now went into teaching, where I now had to use my creative mind. Enjoyed the teaching, loved taking people to learn the craft. And then there were people who said, you know what, I love this craft, but now I want to know how to transform it into a business. That's another transition for me. I transitioned from that into that. What are the transitions that you have done that you have not been aware of? And then from there, people say, do you know what? I would love coaching. I don't know how to get from A to B. So I went on a coaching journey. Another set of transitions. Transitions is equivalent to change, which we can't avoid. We're going to be talking a lot about transition. We're going to be talking a lot about reflection. So I am hoping that the little that I've been able to share with you, you've been able to take away different nuggets. Nugget number 1, where do I fit? Am I dominantly creative with my hands? Am I dominant with my heart? Am I dominant with my mind? That's your first food for thought. Secondly, am I doing what I enjoy? Did I even know that I am creative? Now that you know there are different pockets, the second thing is to think about, where do I fit? Have I been stopping myself? Have I been denying myself of my creative self? If the answer is yes, you're definitely in the right place, because we're going to be going on an amazing journey of discovering your creativity, why you love it, and what you can do with it. I'm excited to be back here at AUK, and I hope that you will be excited to hear what we would be sharing. So I'm literally wrapping up now, and I believe that you've had a taster of what's coming. My charge to you is to invite the entrepreneurs, invite the creatives, invite the people who are passionate about, not even quite sure what they're passionate about. They can come and find out what it's about on the show. I'm going to leave you with a quote, which I kind of like. It says, creativity takes courage. And I end with that, which is by Henry Matisse, because being a creative, my journey has been a creative journey. I have been outside the box for a long time, and it's been a lonely journey. Another reason why I'm here, because I know that I can connect and will be connecting with fellow creatives who may be lonely, maybe not. That means you can bring in the people. Talking about memory lane. One of the elements of memory lane for me, again, which is really close to my heart, was the fact that AUK is here to stay. I mean, being here 10 years ago and coming back, that's another journey of transition. Not just for me, but transition for them. Because we have moved from studio to studio, different places, different locations, and we are here still standing. What does memory lane do for you? Memory lane allows you to take stock of your journey, but it allows you to know how courageous you are. So I'm so glad to be back at AUK, because they've shown me personally that they're up to the task. And together, we're going to do things. And I'm going to end with a story that I started off with. I started off with a story about AUK. And I'm going to end with another part of AUK. Back in the days, I had actually it was my second conference. And they were guests on the show at the conference, and they were having conversation, and then they were talking about me, and one thing they said was that I never got a contract. And I was wondering, why did I not get a contract? I didn't even know I needed a contract, because hey, this was my first taste, and there are going to be some nuggets you're going to take away. Lo and behold, I found out that it was because they did not think that the creative would last more than 3 months. commuting from a distance every week. They thought, nah, this is not going to last. Hence my quote, creativity takes courage. I stepped out, proved what I didn't even know I was proving wrong. So what have people told you you can't do? What courage do you need to step out? Not only did I last more than 3 months, I am back again, and I'm really excited to be back. Don't let anybody put you in a box. Come out of your creative self. Now that you know it takes courage to be creative, let's be courageous together. I look forward to speaking to you, possibly through the different mediums, sharing your comments, sharing your thoughts. As the programs progress, you may have topics that you feel, I'd love somebody to talk to me about that. By all means, come and let your voice be heard. I look forward to you creatives. This is our platform. This is where we are here to be ourselves, and let's do this together. So from me, Omosola, your host on Unleash Ur Cre8tivity, it is bye for now.